Hi everyone, and I'm your host Stacy. And today I'm absolutely thrilled to welcome someone whose work beautifully bridges the worlds of psychotherapy, chronic illness, advocacy, and holistic wellness. So joining me today is Christina Kantzavelos, a licensed clinical social worker, writer, artist, and the founder of Begin Within Today. So Christina is known for her work supporting individuals living with chronic pain, diseases, trauma, and neurodivergent experiences. So using both traditional and psychedelic-assisted therapeutic approaches. And she's also the creator of the WithinMe app and the author of the Begin Within journal, designed to help people navigate the intersections of chronic illness and mental health. And beyond her clinic work, Christina is an avid traveler who's been to over 40 countries and a passionate voice for gluten-free travel and a holistic living. Welcome to our show, Christina.
Thank you so much, Stacy. I'm very honored that you guys invited me on.
Let's start. So the first one that I really want to know from you is how do you think AI might support therapists working with clients navigating chronic illness and C-PTSD?
So, specific to, how can AI help? It's amazing. It can do things that, would take a long time to receive information on. Folks are using it to help understand lab results, for example, like blood lab results, to understand, what the markers mean and, what information they can gain from it to take to their doctors the next time they see them. I have a lot of folks with chronic illness are using it for advocacy, to help them write letters to organizations, again, to doctors. It really feels like having sort of someone in your corner. And it helps take the spoons, and chronic illness, we talk about having enough spoons to do things. It helps give back a lot of spoons that might otherwise, take a lot of energy, right? For you to understand, to fix, to do, to take care of. So I'm seeing it being used in so many different ways, and it's pretty incredible.
That's such a powerful example. Just the idea that something as complicated as a lab result can be made, more understandable and accessible with the right technology. And I think that points to a bigger theme, like the time. Whether it's decoding information or writing it down, time is often what clinicians have the least of. So I'd love to zoom in on that for a moment. For therapists like yourself, so especially those running solo practices, like the documentation can be such a heavy lift. So have you seen or imagined ways that AI could help easy the burden so clinicians can focus more on the human connection?
For me, the scribe note taking has been game changing for so many different reasons. What happened was I was working with a client, and she said, I noticed that you're typing and you're not being completely present with me, because I'm writing, I'm taking notes, I'm opening up tabs as she's talking. Maybe this is something so I can look it up later to send, the specific client. And I'm like, oh, I'm taking, and it caught me off guard. I'm like, I'm taking notes. I'm trying to, document. And I was explaining the whole thing, with the tabs. And after, I was beating myself up about it. Maybe I should be, writing notes or with my hand and not on my laptop. But then because my sessions go longer than the average therapist, I go until someone feels complete. So I don't do the 50-minute to 1 hour mark. That means I also have more notes often to write out. So that's when I decided to adopt the scribe and the AI scribe process. And oh wow, it has made such a shift and change in my sessions and for me personally. And like on a therapeutic level, I'm so much more present. I don't have to focus on taking notes. I get to literally just rest and focus on what the person in front of me is saying and bringing to me without the other side of my brain worried about taking notes or whatnot. And then afterwards, the amount of time you save, right? Of even spoons for myself, because I'm also recovering from chronic illness. It's incredible. I didn't think the note taking would be as good as it is, but it's better than anything I could have ever written. So that's amazing.
Yeah, I really appreciate that moment of like what you are seeing, and also how the experience led to a real shift in how you show up with clients. And it's such a reminder that the documentation isn't just a clinical task, but it shapes the therapeutic relationship for better or worse. And now flipping perspectives just a bit. So from the therapist to client, I love to talk about how AI might support their process of self-reflection and tracking. So I know that you've created some incredible tools like the WithinMe app and the Begin Within journal to help people living with chronic illness connect with themselves more deeply. So what role could AI could play in evolving or enhancing that kind of self-tracking?
Yeah, what I love about AI as a tool for this is the way that it helps folks like basically connect dots in their health, right? AI may pick up on a pattern or notice things that you may have missed. It can create the graphs. It can figure out various things in a person's health. And again, maybe items which I know for a fact that doctors may miss, right? Because people assume you go to the doctor and they're just going to figure it all out for you, but you're with them for a very select amount of time, and they're not seeing you for the weeks or the months in between your appointment to know what has or hasn't been working. Like, it's really in the finite details, right? The forest versus like all the individual trees that we sometimes pick up on some of the most impactful information. So AI as a tool can definitely do that. It is doing that. So I'm encouraging folks to use it for that if and when it feels appropriate and is therapeutic and beneficial to them.
Oh, that's great to know that, because I also have some interest in your app, and I have a chance to look at it, and I think it's really impressive. And I also think your point is very important. Like, the healing doesn't just happen in the doctor's office, but in the in between moments. And if like
Yes.
AI can help people notice patterns that even their providers might miss, that could be a huge shift in agency and awareness. And it also made me think about the diversity of how people process those patterns. For neurodivergent clients, especially those living with ADHD, autism, or sensory sensitivities. So this can be very different ways of understanding and expressing what's going on internally. So I'm also curious, like, based on your work with neurodivergent individuals, how do you see AI possible helping tailored or adapt care to better meet their needs?
Yeah, so a few different levels on this, right? Often with any neurodivergent diagnoses, we see things in a bit of a different way. We process information in a different way, and I feel like AI can meet us wherever that is, on different levels. It can explain things in a slower way, a quicker pace. There could be more graphs, less words, more words. I mean, just depending on where we can you know, I guess we can engage with it in the way that makes sense for us. Also, I know for myself, and I know for clients I work with, engaging with AI when you have any sort of neurodivergent diagnoses can help you understand the diagnoses and how we relate to the world and how we relate to each other. I think it can feel understanding this information can have you feeling a bit more, I mean, less isolated, right? Like more understood. And like you said, the awareness piece is so huge. So with those two things also, like, and what I said earlier too, it's like it can serve as this advocate and a bridge for you to interact with the rest of the world, be it helping you write an email, interpret a conversation, interpret a text message, like anything, and have you feeling a bit more confident and clear around it. So that clarity and the awareness piece are really big. And then alas, your nervous system feels more regulated when you feel like you have that foundation and that support.
Yeah, wow, I really like what you just said, like how AI can flex to match the way someone best, takes in information, whether it's through visuals, like the pacing or the balance of the words and images. And that kind of response, like the responsiveness, and can be especially powerful for people who
Mhm.
often feel misunderstood or over stimulated by traditional
Mhm.
systems. And that
Yeah.
also makes me think of other area where like the nuance, timing, and the internal meanings are so essential. Like for the like the psychedelic-assisted therapy. And I know that's something you bring into your practice as well, right? So so I want to know, do you think like AI could be a role in supporting the preparation or integration phase of that kind of work? Like whether it's helping people track insights, notice pattern, or even just grant their experience afterwards.
Yeah, so it's all of those things that it can assist with and is already assisting with in the psychedelic assisted therapy field and research, especially journaling and tracking are integral, right? And keeping up to date with what folks are experiencing and in preparation. And in working with therapists, usually that component and piece is also pretty important. What's amazing with AI is that it can really sort of extrapolate information, key insights, perspectives that you may not otherwise like tap into, or you might miss. And it's really neat to be able to bring that to the practitioner you're working with and say, hey, it actually picked up on this pattern or this thing, right? Again, you're not necessarily seeing your therapist every single day. So I always say the magic happens in between. So if you're able to play around with this tool, engage in it in a way that feels good for you, and is calming to your nervous system, that is amazing. And then again, it is a tool, right? It doesn't replace therapy per se or a doctor or anything like that. Very important to mention that. However, it can be such a powerful tool, and I've seen it be used in that way.
Yeah, well, I think it's really exciting to hear, especially that it's already starting to take shape in real world therapy setting. Like the idea of AI supporting people not just in real time, but cross time, like through journaling, self-reflection, and integration. Like it's such a powerful tool for long-term healing. And as we start to roll up, like I'd love to give you space for any closing thoughts. So whether it's about the role of AI in mental health, like your hopes for the future of therapy, or something you wish more people understood about chronic illness or neurodivergent care. So what's on your heart right now that you'd like to leave listeners with?
Yeah, I think again, and it's like what I said a moment ago, it's like this can be such a powerful tool, and to engage in it in a very mindful way, to keep in mind, again, does not replace any practitioner, any therapy or therapist. AI does not have a nervous system. That's the most important thing for us to remember. However, it can be so incredible when you may not have access to therapy or to doctors or to this or to that, or in between sessions, but to always take it with a grain of salt and take it to your practitioner to really digest and look into, right, before making any big decisions or big shifts or big changes. So we walk next to this tool with mindfulness and reverence for ourselves and our overall well-being and sustain. Oh,
Yeah, I
can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Christina, for sharing your wisdom, your story, and your vision for adaptive and the version of the future in mental health. And to everyone listening, if today's conversation sparks something in your mind, whether you're a practitioner or a client or simply someone curious about the intersection of AI and healing, just stay with the curiosities, because these are the kinds of conversations that help us imagine what's possible. Don't forget to check out our Christina's work at Begin With today, and also don't forget to follow us. Until next time, thank you so much.